Howdy peeps, hope you're doing well. So, kind of one of them little update videos. I'll be doing a few bits and pieces regarding sort of topics, MGTOW topics. But for the most part, this is going to be regarding this whole thing that we got going on. And I'm sorry to disappoint those who want me to go with the narrative. I can't do it. You know, I'm one of these people that I've got to find out the information for myself, and then take it from there. So we're seeing now that I've just seen a thing on Sky News, a British one of course, saying that the death toll is going to now reach 20,000. Okay, this is a thing, and this is kind of this is where we're at. So I did my usual thing. I went on the internet and did a few searches here and there, and without going through, I mean, they could break it down. It's a death topic, so it kind of is what it is. I could find it by age and by gender, so male deaths. And the problem that I had, it was running from 1974 up to 2018. Which, yeah, I haven't got a decent chart or anything like that to go by, but the figures were there, so I thought I'd carry on searching, Now I come up with this one. It's actually from a hospice, and it's from dyingmatters.org. This is quite a morbid video, by the way. Like, the world isn't morbid enough, and it's co-inflated by the media because they just love death. They just love it. They honestly, they can't get enough of it. That's all we're seeing on the news. It's like there's so much other shit going on out there. It doesn't fit their narrative. It really doesn't. Anyway, so this is sort of saying whereabouts. I had it all in front of me, and I've done nothing. I've moved the phone, and now I can't bloody find it. Right, okay. How many people die each year? And this is from dyingmatters.org. Around 500,000 people die in England each year, and it is predicted that this will rise to 590,000 within the next 20 years. I just want to point out that deaths by influenza still sits at 650,000 tops. Registered deaths. Cause of death being influenza, the flu, H1N1 strain, yeah? Heart failure and stroke are the biggest killers. Now, because this is all related, now we've got a lot of people that have been running around self-diagnosing themselves, and this is my argument. It's like, because they say, oh, if you think you've got the symptoms, like I said initially, it's like pretty much the same symptoms as the flu. Phone 111 and talk to them. Here's my argument for that is there's the potential. First of all, they're going to tell you to self-isolate for 7 days and see how you get on, which is fair enough, right? If you've got the flu or the CV-19, whichever one you want to go by, the normal thing to do, contrary to the sort of practice that I'd say a lot of working class are used to, which is to carry on going into work. Otherwise, you get shamed for it, you lose money, and it goes against you with the Bradford factor. For those of you that are unaware of what the Brad factor is, it's a means of telling, of gauging, should I say, a employee's total work output over the year by comparison to how many days off they have sick in a year. And the way that kind of works is like, if you have, say, 1 or 2 days off every fortnight, for argument's sake, your Bradford factor will go up a lot quicker than if you were off for, say, a week or 2 weeks at a time. Obviously, the downside to that, coming from a working background, is there's a chance you might not get paid for them 1 or 2 weeks. And the other problem with that is the first 7 days you got a self-certificate anyway, so that you can't even go to the doctors to get a certificate to tell your employer that you're ill. But that's kind of going a bit into employer law, and it's not that really important at this stage. But anyway, so there's a potential that someone could misdiagnose you of having CV-19 over the phone. There's that. And then there's the other problem, whereas the mass hysteria that this is causing, and it is causing mass hysteria, it's going to be getting people to give themselves unintentional heart attacks, unintentional conditions, because the mind is the brain, should I say, is a very kind of clever yet stupid organ at the same time. Whereas you can get a hypochondriac who's constantly got something wrong with them, and they may not have, but by the time they're finished telling everyone and making such a drama out of it, they've probably given themselves something unwittingly, because they've convinced themselves, and then the body reacts accordingly because of the constant lie that the individuals told themselves and everyone else around them. So this is obviously a factor that needs to be taken into consideration. The other thing that needs to be taken into consideration is, at the moment, as far as CV19, there's not a lot of, in terms of test kits, we're still getting like stories back saying that they're unreliable, that they're not accurate, this sort of a thing, which doesn't put anyone at ease either. So everyone's still, those that do have perhaps a slight hypochondriac tendency, it's going to put them in a dodgy place, potentially the mental home by the time this is all over. People are driving themselves crazy, Then there's the other side, the sort of more social effect of all of this that's going on, whereas we're seeing more and more videos are being uploaded onto YouTube of police abusing their powers, on the beat bobbies, just, they're not doing their job. And also the other thing is that I think the police have written in a bunch of laws which hasn't been passed by government, so therefore, as far as the average individual is concerned, they should be deemed illegal, and rightly so. But needless to say, you could argue that this is the cops' way of getting their figures up again, and also not only in terms of air quotes criminals that they've caught, but also in revenue that they make. If my mind serves me correctly, I think France had made, up to the other week, was about 65 million in fines. Now, the other sort of side of all this that I really sort of don't get is, people are still drawn into the fear, and they are. And, the sort of effect that has, obviously, we've spoken about the thing for people start, snitching, and, in some aspects, in some places around the UK, they've gone as far as vandalising people's cars. In some cases, not knowing that they are the very nurses that are going to hospitals and doctors going to the surgeries and whatnot. They just assume that they're just brave, that they're not taking any steps or measures towards sussing out if they're actually key workers or not. They just come up with it, and then they just go and vandalise property. And again, I don't think that, the cops, I don't think they're going to look into it. They might give you a reference number if they're not too busy dishing out unlawful fines to the average citizen. And this is just part and parcel of working in a dictatorship. You just haven't realised it yet. It is tyrannical. It is, without a doubt, the way the police are handling it, not just in the UK, but, worldwide. I'm hearing reports back that in India they're going as far as hitting them with sticks. The same for South Africa. They're proper beating people up. All well and good until the people turn on you, and that will happen. There's only so much people willing to put up with before there's a severe backlash. And, if cops are going to behave in that manner, then there will be backlash, and rightly so. Now, you see, the problem that I have with all of this, and this is where I've got a respect for this sort of thing that's going on, because, obviously something that kills you, you don't really want to go out and catch in a hurry, right? Because it's not going to do any good for you. But the problem we got is it's we're not being told the truth. We're not blatantly not. we're being told what fits the narrative, and in the meanwhile, we've got a police state coming in. And they've denied that there's a police state and all this. It's like, well, really, when you're making up the laws without it being passed by government, you know, and the people, the citizens that pay your wages aren't getting a say in it, and then you're going around abusing these powers that you've written up for yourself, that is a police state. People don't want to, you know, they don't want to acknowledge that kind of thing. But anyway, yeah, so you sort of get the gist that, you know, 500,000 people die a year in the UK. Now, the other thing is, you got to remember that, with all due respect, a lot of the people that this flu thing is taken out are the older generation. I mean, I still think this has got to be the world's greatest lie. I really do. Because, I mean, the thing is that the other argumentative point is there aren't enough coroners to carry out post-mortems to find out the actual cause of death. All we're getting at the moment is, oh yeah, they died of CV. It's like, what? How do you know? And they've been given the green light to just sign things off. You know, you could fall off a ladder, die, cause of death, CV19. Hit by a car, cause of death, CV19. You know, you just can't just know. And again, it's like, I don't know where to go. I mean, I'm being relative, you know, I mean, I've been stuck in the house. I'll say stuck in the house. Obviously, I have been going out getting provisions and whatnot as and when needed. And I'm not that much of a social creature anyway. I mean, I used to enjoy going to restaurants and stuff like that, but it wouldn't be a big thing. It wouldn't be a regular occurrence for me. It would just be a break from the norm, from cooking at home or whatever. But we're not being told the truth. And the problem that we got is the majority of people are fucking ignorant and fucking stupid, quite frankly. You know, 500,000 die a year, like I said, and there's a lot of, you know, with respect, there's a lot of old people. You know, the places I've worked, the majority of, I mean, the more affluent areas, a lot of the people a lot of the sort of, I guess, clients were boomers anyway. You know, that sort of sounds bad. My own parents, by definition, are in fact boomers. But nonetheless, the point I'm getting at is a lot of them, and if I'm perfectly honest, a lot of them shouldn't have been bloody driving in the first place, you know, because they're a danger to themselves and people around them, you know, because their cognitive functions aren't as quick as what they should be. You know, if you're controlling a motorised vehicle, at least in my opinion. But hey, I'm not a doctor and I don't get to decide that. But, like I say, a lot of them are sort of older generation. The immune system wears down, which we've always known these things. You know, this isn't something new to us. And then, you know, when something like the flu, because the flu, for the most part, has always killed older generations or people with underlying health issues. Right, we've always known this, which is why I find it, you know, a lot of people now, even the sort of regulars that I talk to, you know, people that I know, they're sort of like, oh yeah, but this is a regular. And here's my argument: how the fuck do you know? Have you tested it? Have you a scientist? Are you a doctor? No. So stop going with the narrative that everyone else is pushing and do your own fucking research before going around telling everyone else that they're wrong about what they think on the matter. Now, of course, needless to say, with all of this, I'm not saying go out and be, you know, air quotes, irresponsible and all of that. But it's like there's so many factors in all of this. Like even the new sort of new sort of guidance notes that they've brought up with regards to if you're living in a house with a potential domestic abuser. Doesn't matter whether it's a guy or a girl. It doesn't matter. The government have said, oh, you can go and, you know, if you have a row at home, you can go and stay with a friend for a few days. Well, 4 weeks ago, they were telling us not to go and visit your friends. It's like, what? So, you can go, you know, say you're a key worker, and your partner's a key worker, just for argument's sake, you do different kind of jobs, so you're not seeing each other. One of them has a shit day. You both get back. You have a massive fat row. You've been interacting with other people, so therefore potentially a virus carrier or spreader perhaps. Have a row at home. Go and stay with your mates for a couple of days while you cool off. Well, what's to say that either one of them, the party that went to stay at their mates, wasn't at that point carrying it and give it to their mates, and then possibly their mates' kids? It's full of holes, people. I'm sorry. It's just no. I mean, I wouldn't want anyone to stay in a situation where, domestic abuse is going to be a problem. They haven't got anywhere to go. But it just contradicts the whole point of the lockdown. The fact that, we're still allowed out to, go and get food from supermarkets. I mean, we're still congregating, and we don't really know how this virus is spread. It's just, I'm sorry, people. I wouldn't wish an early death on someone unnecessarily. The point is, it's like, I think it's going to be avoidable. No one is really immortal. I mean, all right, say you get a CV, right? You survive it, just for argument's sake. A couple of weeks later, you could have an accident at work. Something else could happen, and you know what I mean. None of us are guaranteed life, so I think that the fact that what is being played on in all of this is mortality and power over mortality, in my opinion, and it's not power for the individual over mortality. It's power by the government and, in this case, tyrannical police officers. Again, subjective. I'm not saying that every single police force, that all their officers act in that manner. Unfortunately, there is a percentage of them that have been and shouldn't be, and this needs to be addressed immediately. Because it's like I've always said, it's like this is the best way of taking away people's freedoms. And it comes down to that thing of people would rather have, the security of government. The government can't even guarantee your fucking security. The government can't even stop you getting robbed walking down to the shops. They can't stop that. Yet everyone turns to them like they're some sort of saviour. It's like, well, no, look at the police force. Even if you're getting robbed, you could phone up in the middle of it and they won't send someone out. And if you're lucky enough to survive it, you might get a crime reference number. What use is that when you've been shanked up in your own home, which you're unable to defend because the law says so? Do you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't quite say that, but do you know what I mean? There seems to be more rights for the perpetrators than there are for the victims. And it's like, well, this is just one of my arguments as to why we should have the Bill of Rights over here, and it should be protected by a constitution similar to what the US has. Why do you think they've been trying to take away your guns? And now all of a sudden, funny how the Liberals want the guns, isn't it, eh? And then they sort of suss out that it doesn't work quite as easy as what they thought it would, and now they're throwing their rattle out their pram again. Oh well, you should have listened to the people that were trying to tell you in the first place, but fuck it, whatever, right? Anyway, thoughts, comments and opinions, feel free to jot them down as always. Till the next one, stay cool, stay free, stay safe. Peace out.